But we begin tonight with former New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez on trial for murder.
Jury selection began today in Fall River Superior Court as lawyers search for 12 jurors and 6 alternates to hear the high-profile murder case.
Hernandez is accused of killing semi-pro football player Odin Lloyd in North Attleboro in June of 2013. The former Pro Bowl tight end faces a separate murder trial later this year for a 2012 double homicide in Boston.
Media from across the country descended on Fall River today for the start of the Hernandez trial, and inside, hundreds of prospective jurors got a first-hand look at the promising young football star turned accused killer.
Target 12 investigator Walt Buteau is standing by with a timeline of the events from the night of the alleged crime.
But first, let's go to Eyewitness News reporter Susan Campbell, who's live in Fall River for a first-hand account of what went on in the courthouse today.
Today, Aaron Hernandez was introduced to hundreds of potential jurors during 3 separate sessions. The first time he walked into the room, he kept scanning the room and was shifting his weight back and forth on his feet. By the 3rd session, he very loudly and confidently said good afternoon to the jurors. On a cold, windy day, a year and a half after Odin Lloyd was shot to death, Aaron Hernandez went on trial for the murder. Cameras aren't allowed inside the court for jury selection, but I was there as the former Patriots star tight end sat face to face with potential jurors in the jury pool room. After the case was called by the clerk, the judge welcomed the summons jurors, briefed them on the case, and introduced them to Hernandez. She also described the jury selection process. In all, there will be 9 sessions today, Monday, and Tuesday, with about 125 summons jurors at each session. Those prospective jurors are sworn in, then they fill out a questionnaire that's several pages long. Late next week, potential jurors will find out if they're excused or if they have to come back to court to answer more questions from the judge. Though he didn't take any questions, Bristol County District Attorney Thomas Quinn made a brief statement to reporters Friday afternoon.
We look forward to a jury being selected that is fair and impartial to both sides. The court has gone to great lengths to ensure that this takes place. We have been preparing for this case since June of 2013. We look forward to the start of the trial.
18 jurors will be selected for the trial. 6 will be alternates, but they will not be chosen until jury deliberations are about to begin. Not surprisingly, today, while court was in session, there was an increased police presence around the entire outside of this courthouse. Shannon and Mike.
Susan, you mentioned security is tight out there. Have there been any issues?
Really, there haven't been any issues, but this morning as I was going through the security line, we saw one man who was asked to leave because he shouted, "Go Pats." Of course, as you know, the judge in this case had said no NFL gear, no Patriots gear was allowed, so shouting "Go Pats" was certainly against her orders also. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Susan, and we'll check back in with Susan in Fall River on Eyewitness News at 6.
First, Hernandez on trial. Today marked the first day of jury selection in the former Patriots player's murder case.
Hundreds of prospective jurors filed in and out of the courthouse today. Aaron Hernandez was there too and greeted the first group with good morning.
We have in-depth coverage for you tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Perry Russum is taking a closer look at the national attention this trial is getting, new at 6.
But first, let's go to Susan Campbell, who is in Superior Court all day, live in Fall River.
There were 3 groups of jurors who all heard the same speech from the judge before they filled out their questionnaires. Really, the only thing that changed today was Aaron Hernandez's tie. In the morning, he started out wearing a plaid one. By the end of the day, he had on a pink one. Braving snow and wind, hundreds of people showed up at the Fall River Justice Center for jury duty and learned they may be on the Aaron Hernandez murder trial. Though cameras aren't allowed to capture any of the jury selection, Eyewitness News was in the jury pool room as Judge Susan Garsh explained the process and the questionnaire that all potential jurors are filling out. Here's what we know about the questionnaire. It's several pages long. It was handed out in white envelopes, and there's a typo on the 5th page where the word "or" was printed instead of the word "of." What we don't know is what questions were asked or how many were asked. Judge Garsh instructed the jurors to fill out the questions truthfully and reminded them there are no right or wrong answers. She also reminded jurors they aren't allowed to talk about this case, including the questionnaire, with anybody. They're also not allowed to read anything or watch anything related to the case. On Monday and Tuesday, the same questionnaire process will happen all over again, 3 sessions each day with about 125 potential jurors in each session. Mike and Shannon.
Susan, this case is so high profile. It's been all over the news for a year and a half. Are there concerns that jurors already know too much about the case?
The judge addressed that in front of each of the groups today. She said even if a juror had read about the case or heard about the case, they can still be impartial. She said they just have to promise to decide this case based only on the evidence that's presented in the courtroom. But of course, moving forward, that's when they would have to promise to avoid all of the media coverage related to this case. Back to you.
All right, Susan Campbell reporting live outside of Fall River Superior Court. Thank you, Susan.